This is On the Path with Reverend Andrew Bozeman. It's Tuesday, November 12, 2013. Today's reading is from Acres of Diamonds by Russell H. Conwell. There was a man living in Pennsylvania who owned a farm and sold it. But before he sold it, he decided to secure employment collecting coal oil for his cousin, who was in the business in Canada. They dipped it from the running streams at that early time. So this Pennsylvania farmer wrote to his cousin asking for employment. When he wrote to his cousin for employment, his cousin replied, "I cannot engage you because you know nothing about the oil business." Then the farmer said, "I will know." And with most commendable zeal, he set himself at the study of the whole subject. He began way back at the second day of God's creation, when this world was covered thick and deep with that rich vegetation which since has turned to the primitive beds of coal. He studied the subject until he found that the draining of those rich beds of coal furnished the coal oil that was worth pumping, and then he found out how it came up with the living springs. He studied it until he knew what it looked like, smelled like, tasted like, and how to refine it. "Now," said he in his letter to his cousin, "I understand the oil business." His cousin answered, "All right, come on." So he sold his farm, according to the county record, for $833. He had scarcely gone from that place before the man who purchased the farm went out to arrange for the watering of the cattle. He found the previous owner had gone out years before and put a plank across the brook edgewise into the water, just a few inches below the surface. The purpose of that plank, at that sharp angle across the brook, was to skim off a dreadful-looking scum through which the cattle would not put their noses. But with that plank there to skim and push all the scum over to one side, the cattle would drink below the board. So that man who had gone to Canada to work in the oil business had been himself damming back for 23 years a flood of coal oil which the state geologist of Pennsylvania declared 10 years later was even then worth $100 million. Since then, only 4 years ago, our geologist declared the discovery to be worth $1 billion. The man who owned that farm had studied the subject of coal oil from the second day of God's creation clear down to that present time. He studied it until he knew all about it, and yet he never saw what he already had, and he sold the whole of it for $833. How many times have you heard a story about someone who was so busy looking for what they wanted somewhere else that they didn't realize what they had right before their eyes? Many of us have dreams of striking it rich in the business world and spend our time dreaming about what ifs. But have you truly looked at the potential for success that is right in front of your face? Opportunity is everywhere for the person with vision. So rather than spending your time thinking about what you don't have, look around and see what you do have, and what you can create from what is there before you right now. You are already richer than you realize. This has been On the Path with Reverend Andrew Bozeman.